Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us at the encore screening of our world premiere of Olympic Pride, American Prejudice. We want to personally thank you so much for being part of the team that chose our film.
Oh.
So we are really, yes, you are a big part of that. So thank you so much. Thanks to Film Independent and thanks to the LA Film Festival for having us enjoy this film. You get to talk back to the screen, you get to enjoy this moment and have a full film experience, and we'll have a Q&A following this film.
Yes.
So thank you.
And please silence your phones. Thank you. Can you join me in welcoming back Deborah Riley Draper? Congrats again.
Thank you. So, you know what? I am going to just buck your whole system, and I'm going to ask the two executive producers that are in the audience to come down. So Dr. Amy Tiemann and Blair Underwood are actually in the house. So they're, I can't see, but they're somewhere out there. I thought it would be a ton of fun to have the other EPs come down.
I'm gonna get you. Let's switch places. So we'll get you to. We'll share mics this way.
All right.
Just to get us started before I open it up for everyone, can you talk about how the project started and how you all became involved with each other?
Absolutely. The project started about four years ago now. 4 years and about 2 months. I was researching a jazz singer and trumpet player by the name of Valeda Snow. She was actually interned in Nazi Germany. She is a Southern woman. She's from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and she was African American. And I was just stunned by the fact that she had been in a concentration camp for 2 years. So when she returned to America, she spoke about these athletes. I was like, what? This is incredible. Why don't I know who these people are? And I was really embarrassed that I didn't know who they were. I was only familiar with Jesse Owens. So then more research, and then I'm like obsessed, and let's make a documentary, right? So, and so the research began, and it's really a study in forensics and trying to find African Americans in the 30s, because I swear in every record everyone's last name was Johnson. So it made it really difficult to really find 18 people and begin to do a really accurate excavation of who these people are and who they were and what their lives were.
And I mean, did that surprise you, how difficult just even getting the names was? Or
you know, it actually didn't. I was born in Savannah, Georgia, and I remember my grandmother like trying to figure out her birth certificate, and you know, not all the information was actually accurate. So I wasn't terribly surprised.
And all the archival footage is so rich. I mean, can you talk a little bit about that process of actually sourcing the archival footage and who you had to talk to and what that whole process was like?
The footage came from around the world, literally. We started in the United States. We started here in Los Angeles because a lot of the athletes had tremendous ties to LA. And then we went to Cologne. We literally went to Cologne. We went to Berlin. We were at University of Munster. All of the Marquette, you name it. There are probably over 40 different archivists and curators that we reached out to, everyone you could think of from around the world. In Italy, the beauty of it, there were 49 countries, so there were 49 countries we could actually go to speak to people about what did they have in their closets, in their archives, and a lot of it is actually personal photographs from people around the world as well.
So impressive.
And if you have any more, we're happy to take them.
Can you speak a little bit about your experience being in Germany and how it was to do those interviews and what feelings came up doing all of that?
It was actually pretty surreal because to actually interview 2 Hitler youth and actually sit down and talk to them about their experiences 80 years ago when they were teenagers, when they were 11 and 12 years old, and to realize that these children actually, in spite of their uniform and in spite of, actually thought it was cool to get the autograph of black men in their autograph book. So that kind of stuck with me. That struck me as there is, regardless of what politics happen, if we really peel back there's a humanity in all of us that we can connect with emotionally, and that was reassuring,
Right.
actually. And so the other kind of strange thing that happened, you know, we almost got kicked out of the stadium because the same young man who was 94, I asked him to tell me a little bit about his experience as a Hitler Youth. He starts singing this crazy song. He's singing at the top of his voice, and all of a sudden the German officials from the stadium, they run into where we're shooting, and they're like, stop, he cannot say that, he must stop right now. And we're like, you know, I don't speak German, so I'm like, geez, this cannot be good. And so Kasha, our production assistant, I'm like, what is he singing? She's like, I'm not quite sure. So they told us he was singing this Nazi National Socialist song from 1936 when he was a Hitler Youth that's pretty much slightly outlawed. We were able to finish the shoot, and we weren't kicked out of the country. So that was really good.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, it totally, because Jonathan Hall, our DP, is somewhere in there, and Jonathan never stops rolling. So we have everything.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, because I want to keep going, but I don't want to take up all the questions. Go ahead.
I'm sure that when you started out, you had your plan, you had a story you wanted to tell, but I can also imagine the wonder of discovery along the way. Could you talk about maybe some of the big surprises that you came across while doing the research for the film?
Oh man, there were so many amazing surprises. The very first one, that Jackie Robinson had a brother. So that was like my first big surprise. And that his brother, Mac Robinson, won a silver medal in front of Hitler in 1936. That was kind of the second surprise. The fact that Tidy and Louise actually existed was huge. It was heartbreaking, it was surprising. They were here in LA in 32, and they were kicked off the team. Louise was kicked off the team again in 36, right before she was about to take the blocks. And the fact that I didn't know these two women who, regardless of race, did something incredible. If you think about this, these are the only African Americans in the history of the world that can say they faced Jim Crow racism and also Adolf Hitler. So they stood on a medal stand, they walked in an opening ceremony in Nazi Germany. No one else has that claim. So all of that was a big surprise for me.
Would you say that the surprises were, did you have similar surprises, Amy and Blair?
Ladies first.
Well, I met Deborah through the Southern Documentary Fund about a year ago, a little more than a year, and for me, just the minute I met Deborah, the minute I saw the trailer with that footage that opens the film of the 400 meters and Archie Williams and that incredibly weird, commentary that just spoke of his race like 6 times in about 12 seconds. Just the need to hear the story and the genius of Deborah all coming together. Within about 10 minutes, I was sold on begging to be her executive producer, so I'm just happy to be part of that.
Yeah, I begged to be your executive producer too. No, I really did. I can listen to her talk all day. She's such I think, a brilliant filmmaker and a wealth of knowledge. And she was kind enough to invite me to narrate it. And I, like you, Amy, I saw the 6-minute trailer she had at the time. And I said, why don't I know this story? I feel like I should know the story. And I could not get to the phone fast enough to say, can I just come on board and just join the team and just stand by you and support your efforts. Brilliant efforts, by the way.
Brilliant. Actually, can you talk a little bit about the narration and what that was like? And because you wrote the narration, and can you just talk a little bit? Because even all of the sound, the composition, the music composition is wonderful. I mean, I'm getting chills the whole time. Can you talk a little bit about the sound and the narration?
Narration.
Okay, narration. Well, I mean, listen, I took a lead, but it's storytelling.
Right.
So I think one of the traps of narration is sounding like an announcer all the time, or being too flat. And I would just literally take her lead because she knew the story and what moments were dramatic, what moments were ironic, what moments were very simple.
Right.
So I just did what she told me to do, basically.
Yeah. Great director.
That's the sign of a great narrator. Just
Yeah.
do what the director tells you to do. But it was kind of weird because Blair's the director too, right? So you're like, okay, now I'm directing the director who's also the narrator and the actor. So it was kind of tricky, but he was actually really good about listening and really good about really wanting to learn more about the story so he could deliver what you're actually hearing.
Right.
So you're feeling him directing, narrating, and acting, and producing all in the delivery of a line.
Right.
So it's rather incredible.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Were you wanting to ask a
My
question?
question was from Ms. Deborah. Those two young people, 11 and 13 years old, when they got a signature of this one, what did they reflect when they were 80, 90 years old? Family, friends, what did they say, thinking back when they were young, hiding the signatures, or they were ashamed of it, or not, obviously not ashamed?
That's a really amazing question, because I asked them that question, and so both of them, they didn't really let everyone know they had these autographs at that time. It took 40 to 50 years before they, maybe even 60 for Werner, before they started to pull photographs and autographs out of the drawer. But when they look back on it, the reason why he said he wants to pass it on to generations is because it's important. It's because at that moment as a little boy, there was a cross-cultural transcendence. There was like a suspension in time, maybe 10.3 or 10.4 seconds where people were cheering and there was a suspension of hatred and there was an elevation of humanity. So he kept it. And so they also said that, when they were cheering, they were very cognizant to look around and make sure, there wasn't going to be any drama around them cheering and any drama around the autograph. But they couldn't help it. They wanted these autographs because they connected innocently. It's kind of like we laugh and joke a lot about the Love Garden, but if you think about it, even the most extreme racism cannot stop teenage hormones. So, boys and girls will be boys and girls because at the heart of it, we're all human and we want to love and we want to be loved. So that's what we hope to leave you with, that regardless of politics and policies and propaganda, it's nice to just connect with someone on a very human and personal level.
Definitely. And as we close, where is this film going? I'm hoping that more communities will have access to it. Can you briefly tell us about what you hope for the film and how it'll impact just communities across the country?
We have several hopes. Our immediate, both short-term and long-term hopes are that this film will continue to be distributed, and if there are any distributors out there, we need both theatrical and broadcast rather immediately because we'd like to be fully distributed in short order. So give us a call. But we want to do theatrical, we want to do broadcast, but we're going to work with the National Freedom Center to create an educational curriculum so that those can go out in schools, and then there will be a book.
Oh, great.
Yes, buy the book. And the DVD, download, all that good stuff. Support the film. 1936olympicsmovie.com. Please sign up for our newsletter, and then you guys will know when this is coming to a theater near you. Please pass the word if you like the film. Please tell everyone. We really think it's an important piece of history, and it closes the loop on the 1936 Olympics beyond the Jesse Owens story.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Will you be in the lobby at all? Can people?
Yes, of course. We totally will.
Great, thank you. And if you want to continue conversations, you can go to the lobby and Deborah will be there. Thank you.